Going to PennWest is so much more than just getting a degree. It's gaining experiences with people, clubs, organizations, internships, all of that. So say yes to those little coffee dates, say yes to going to a club meeting, say yes to going to the sporting event. All of that will just build your college experience even more.
Bold ideas, inspiring stories, dynamic experiences. I'm your host, Dr. John Anderson, president of PennWest. Welcome to the Power of PennWest podcast. Well, welcome back to the Power of PennWest podcast. Sometimes the most powerful decision you make in college isn't about choosing a major, it's choosing to change the direction of your life entirely. In this episode of the Power of PennWest, we dive into the transformative journeys of PennWest students who transferred in search of something better, a strong sense of purpose, a deeper connection to our community, and a clearer vision for their future. These are incoming transfer students to PennWest. You will hear firsthand how they navigated uncertainty, overcame self-doubt, and found their courage to start fresh. From discovering new passions to building lasting relationships and leading their squad to victory, their stories are a testament to the strength it takes to pivot and the rewards that come when you do. So let's meet today's guests. We've got 4 students meeting with us today. First, Kurt Spurling. Kurt transferred to PennWest after 8 years as a part-time student at the Community College of Allegheny County. He earned an Associate's of Science there in General Studies, in Drug and Alcohol and Ethnic and Diversity Studies. Now he's pursuing a degree in Sociology, Social Deviance, and he is very passionate about creating meaningful change. And congratulations to Kurt. He was recently accepted into PennWest's MSW program starting in January of 2026. Congratulations, Kurt. It's great to have you with us today.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Look forward to hearing your story. Next, let's meet Alison Jones. She's a junior at PennWest Edinboro, majoring in Interdisciplinary Studies with a minor in Event Planning and Management. She is deeply engaged in campus life, active in Greek life, cheerleading, PennWest Leadership Academy, and also works in the campus library and the peer mentoring office. And she serves as a summer orientation leader. Outside of college, she enjoys theater, volunteering with her high school's marching band, and spending quality time with family and friends. Allie, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And next, you've probably seen him on the gridiron, Anthony Guercio, a redshirt senior quarterback from North Olmsted, Ohio, transferred from Fairmont State to Clarion. He quickly became a standout for the Golden Eagles, and in 2024, he earned the CSC Academic All-District Honors and led Clarion with 2,001 passing yards and 12 rushing touchdowns. He is a dynamic dual threat quarterback, ranked 3rd in the PSAC in total offense, and was named the offensive MVP. Anthony, it's great to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me on. Looking forward to.
Excellent. Next, Delaney Barr. Delaney, you are a sophomore at PennWest Clarion from the small town of Brookville, Pennsylvania. You're studying speech-language pathology. It's great to have you with us, and we're looking forward to hearing about how you're actively involved in campus life. And this list is pretty long. The Tri Sigma Sorority, Club Smile, NSS, LHA, and BASIC. And we look forward to hearing about how you became so engaged as a transfer student to the Clarion campus. Delaney, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, those are our 4 guests, and I'm looking forward to hearing from each of you about your experience transferring into PennWest. And hopefully hundreds of thousands of students across the world will hear this podcast. Hopefully it has that kind of reach. We'll see. And follow your example and transfer here and have the epic PennWest experience. Kurt, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about your journey to PennWest after 8 years at Allegheny County Community College.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I spent 8 years part-time, and I wasn't really sure where to go from there. I started in 2016. So just a little background. I started at community college in 2007, and then nobody told me if you didn't withdraw from a class, you got all Fs, right? So I went back in 2010, same thing. So whenever I went back finally in 2016, I kind of grew up a little bit. So I'm registering for classes, and Thought it'd be best to maybe take two or three. So that's what I did. And then the academic advisor told me, hey, there's one class that you have to take, or I forget, it was something like I couldn't come back for 5 years. Said, perfect, put it on me. She said, well, it's every Saturday. I said, okay, not a big deal. At 8 a.m. I'm like, oh, okay. So, I had that for 5 weeks. So after that, and I completed that and passed it, I kind of knew in my heart, like, okay, this is what I want to do. Education is important. And yeah, even in high school, I think I applied to Cal U at the time, and didn't get accepted because I just, wasn't a good student. But yeah, I've always been interested in PennWest, and whenever I applied and got accepted, it was a great time.
And you're a fully online student, correct?
I am, yeah,
What has that experience been like for you? It's not Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock, that's for sure.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, pre-COVID, I could not do online. I just could not do it. I was not disciplined enough. I had to go and be there in person. After COVID, it was more, I don't want to say acceptable, but more people were doing online. So as I started taking a few, I started getting used to it a little bit, and it just became normal. So I have a routine now. I know that if I don't put X amount of hours aside a week, I'm gonna not do so well in that class. But I've been fortunate enough to do pretty well thus far.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Allie, let's go to you next. Tell us about your journey to Penn West.
Yeah, so I graduated high school in June of 2023 and went to Kent State University in Ohio. I was a fashion merchandising major. I got there, my randomly assigned roommate was a sophomore. I had a couple friends from high school that were going to Kent State, but they all kind of already had their groups. They joined Greek life right away. They were in like very like small programs, so they had like very condensed like groups of friends already, and it was a huge campus, and it was so hard to get involved there. And I was so heavily involved in like different like clubs and activities in high school that I knew that like that was something that I kind of needed in order to thrive in college. And it was just so hard to get involved because of like how big the campus was and the population and everything. And I grew up in Edinboro. I've like always been around the Edinboro culture and everything. So I knew that it was probably the best decision for me to just come back home. And now that I'm at Edinboro, I've been able to get involved in so many other things that I didn't even think about getting involved in when I was at Kent State.
That's excellent. Thank you, Allie. Delaney, tell us about your journey. How did you end up at Penn West?
Sure. So, like you said, I'm originally from Brookville, PA, and that is about 20 minutes away from the Clarion campus. So my whole family has went to Clarion, but I was thinking, I'm going to be different. So I'm going to go to a different school and kind of experience more of like the city life rather than the rural small town vibe. So I originally was at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, and I was very excited to go. I felt very blessed to have the opportunity to go there, but kind of like what Ali said, it was very hard to get involved. Everyone was pretty cliquey, and there weren't a lot of opportunities for student life. If you're going to college just for a degree, that is great. But me personally, I like to be involved. I like to meet different types of people. And it just wasn't the right place for me. So whenever I was in the transfer process, I was looking at different schools, but they were having a hard time accepting my credits or finding housing and all of that. But Clarion welcomed me with open arms. So I came back home, and I've been happy ever since.
Well, we are glad you're here and carrying on the family legacy.
Thank you.
Anthony, your story has a little twist because it involves athletics as well. Tell us about your journey first to Fairmont State and then how you got to Penn West Clarion.
Yes, it does involve athletics. And I graduated high school in 2021 and initially went to Fairmont State. I was there for 3 semesters, made a lot of great friends, was able to play in some football games there. For those who don't know, Fairmont State's located in West Virginia. So it was about 3.5, 4 hours from Cleveland, Ohio. And I initially liked it there, but obviously playing quarterback is a very specific position. There's limited room for them on the field. And so long-term wise for myself there, I didn't see it working out just because I wanted to play early on in my career. So I ended up entering the transfer portal and looked at really schools around the region, around Cleveland, Ohio, just things that, mattered to me was my parents come to games and being able to be close to home a little bit. And that's when I really found, PennWest Clarion, and meeting with the coaching staff here, taking my visit here was super big. Seeing the small town vibe was, something I was used to at Fairmont State, but it was a little bit different here at Clarion. I really felt like the community backed the football team. I think that the small town businesses here in homecoming here really made football special to me, football special to the community. And so when I was making my decision on where to go, Clarion was an obvious standout, along with, my credits transferring over pretty easily, and being on pace to graduate at the same rate. So I was still able to come in here, graduate this past spring with my bachelor's of science, and now I was able to enter in my master's degree now. So that was a big factor in coming here, was credits, the small town vibe, and really just the support that the community gave.
That's excellent. Thank you, Anthony. And as we talked earlier, I'm glad you're healing up and we'll be back on the gridiron soon. Kurt, let's talk about your story a little bit more. What prompted you to pursue a career in sociology, social deviance, and social work? That's a field that has a lot of give in it. You're giving to people all the time. How did you pick that?
So I have a personal history in that field with social workers and dealing with, addiction and recovery. So I've been down that road before, and I work in at a behavioral health facility right now. I've been there for 10 years, looking to further my career. Right now I'm a supervisor in transportation, but I'm looking to, be a clinical, get into a clinical role. So the passion comes from, a lived history of being through it and living it, and just wanting to give back and, help make a difference in, other people's lives.
Excellent. Thanks, Kurt. Allie, tell us a little bit about your interest in event planning and management. How did that begin?
I guess I've just always been really interested in like weddings and just like that kind of aspect of events. So I still really don't know what I'm gonna do with it after college, but when I saw that PennWest offered the event planning and management, either concentration or minor, I knew that that was probably my best bet in being able to find something that I really want to maybe pursue after college. But yeah, like I said, I've just always been kind of interested in like weddings and like that sort of like aspect. When I went to Kent State for fashion merchandising, that was also already in my head, like thinking like very bridal, like wedding dress shops, that kind of thing. So now it's kind of carried through to me to PennWest.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad you found a fit here. That's excellent. Delaney, tell us about speech language pathology. When was it that interest in you was piqued?
Oh my gosh, I could talk about this for hours, but for the sake of everyone else, I'll slim it down. So I didn't even know speech pathology was a thing until I actually went to Duquesne. But the main reason I chose it was there was a lot of discrimination and bullying of people with special needs in my area, and it just broke my heart because like a lot of the times the kids did not have the privilege to speak up for themselves. So I think the people that are blessed enough to have a voice and to speak up should be speaking up for those people, and the field of speech language pathology like works wonders around that. And I've had personal connections with kids with disabilities as well, and even in the adult population they are represented in speech pathology a lot, as well. And I just think it's important that people have their voice to speak up for themselves.
That's great. My wife and I have 7 children, and we've had several of them go through speech language pathology, and it is transformational when someone can, for the first time, articulate clearly what they're thinking. So it's a great profession to enter. And Anthony, tell us about your future. You're getting a master's now. What interested you in that discipline?
So initially, I got my bachelor's of science in nutrition and fitness. And really, I just wanted to be well-rounded going into a job market and be versatile in different fields. So I decided to get my master's of business administration in management, because, my dad's an entrepreneur and my mom's been working in business before. But my true passion is really, exercise science and fitness. But I figured that having both those on a resume and just having skills in both fields would ultimately be best for my future.
Mhm. That's great. That's a great combination. To have the business side And I've got to brag on management. I was a management professor for a few decades, and it is a great field, great thing to study. Let's talk now about the transfer process. So each one of you are at different institutions. At some point, you looked at PennWest and thought, that is the place for me. And then what is it like to go from one place to becoming a student at PennWest? What was the transfer process like? Who did you talk to? What was that first communication you had with PennWest, and how did that go? Kurt, you want to start with us? You transferred in from Community College of Allegheny County, which is a kind of a sister institution in the state.
So I started talking to, I believe, I might mispronounce the last name, but Kaylee Mutza. Um,
That's it.
yeah, so I started talking to her in 2021. So I'll say so I'm an older student, I'm pushing 40. I might not look like it, but I'm pushing 40. So transferring from, a community college to an actual university was extremely like daunting. I like kept putting it off. So in 2021, I told her, hey, I'm ready to transfer over. She, great, credits, everything matches up. And then I'd email her, no, I'm not quite ready yet. I'm going to take some more at, CCAC. Okay, that's fine. That went on for a couple of years. And finally, I transferred over in the fall of 24. I just took the plunge, took the jump. Like I said, it was intimidating knowing that I spent all that time at a community college. Now it's like, okay, I'm going into, an actual university. And at my age, it's kind of scary, but yeah, I got through it. It was painless. And it's been great so far.
Excellent. Thanks, Kurt. Allie, what was that transfer process like for you?
The whole Edinboro admissions team was just so amazingly helpful throughout the whole process. I transferred after my first semester at Kent, so this was like kind of happening over Christmas break. So a lot of my stuff, like I had orientation online instead of in person, and just like little things like that. But the process was so easy, and everyone was so like warm and welcoming, and just able to help me with like any questions that I had. I've been able to get very close with the admissions team since then. So just kind of knowing that they were there for me in the beginning is just so amazing.
That's great. And Delaney, tell us your transfer journey.
Sure. So I knew pretty much in like the first month that I was at Duquesne that it just wasn't the right fit for me. It's a great fit for other people, but for me personally, it just wasn't right. So over Christmas break, I decided that I did want to transfer to Penn West just because they were so accepting of my credits and wanted me in the SLP program. So I was pretty nervous my first day though, because I thought people would target me as the new kid, but everyone was excited to know that there was a new person that was joining our community. And I instantly hit it off with some new classmates, but also people that went to my high school started reaching out and wanting to hang out and become closer, which has been a blessing. Yeah, I now, as like an actual student, I work at admissions, so I get to help people that are also in that transition process. And I get to work closely with the people that actually helped me get here, which has been like a full circle moment. It's been great so far.
Excellent. Great to hear, Delaney. Anthony, let's go to you next. Talk to us a little bit about the transfer portal. That's kind of a new thing, a relatively new thing in the NCAA. Some people are huge fans. Some people think it ends all competitiveness and loyalty. But to those who may be listening that have no idea what the transfer portal is, tell us what that is like.
Yeah, the transfer portal really has opened up college football lately within the last 3 to 4 years. And it really just gives the ability to student athletes to find the right school for them. And there used to be a lot more rules and regulations to the portal, some being you weren't able to transfer to an in-conference opponent unless it was okayed by the conference and your school. You had to sit out if you transferred down to certain divisions or up to certain divisions. Now it's pretty much wide open. You can pretty much come and go as you please to some universities. And for some people, that may not be the best for that competitive nature, for that culture building process at some universities. But for myself, like I said earlier, playing quarterback's very hard. When a university and a team finds theirs, you more or less stay with that guy for a long period of time. And so the portal allowed me to kind of fit, somewhere else where I was accepted in and kind of almost built around for a certain team. So it helped me find, PennWest Clarion, Some people love the portal, some people hate the portal. But for me, it's definitely helped. But I think the transfer portal also allows athletes to have the same ability as coaches. You know, coaches are able to come and go as they please through certain jobs, obviously contract depending. But there was kind of almost that unfairness that some people felt that college coaches could come and go as they pleased at universities, but student athletes were bound. And so they kind of wanted to flip the script on that, and they made it wide open. I think within the next couple of years, they're going to start to put some regulations back on that, because you see more and more kids get in and out of the portal and transfer to 3, 4 different schools. But obviously that's not the case for most, but it can happen.
That's great. And talk to us about the role of the coaches, the transfer portal versus the kind of the university administration and recruitment teams. Is all that handled by the coaches? And then once you decide you're transferring, then you contact the university to see what credits will transfer? Is that how that works?
Yeah, so initially the communication is fully with the coaching staff. They're pretty much like your right-hand man on trying to get everything situated with credits, schedules, transcripts. And then once you really decide that, hey, I'm gonna go to this university, or in this case, I'm gonna go to PennWest Clarion, then they transfer everything over to the admissions office. You get in contact with them. But just like a lot of people on here, I was a mid-year transfer. So coming in December, they set me up with some possible housing scenarios that I wanted, if I was able to be on campus or off campus. In my situation, I had to be on campus because I came in as a mid-year sophomore. But then once I realized that I was going to come to Clarion, they handed over my situation to the admissions, and I got in contact with them, and they pretty much handled all my paperwork from there. And my advisors did a great job of seeing which classes were able to transfer over, and how I was able to still maintain my trajectory to graduate on time. And that was super important to me.
Excellent. That's great. Great story. And thanks for training the audience on the transfer portal. So now when they hear that term in the news, they'll know what they're talking about. As we prepare to wrap this up, I want each of you to give your best advice to a student who's coming into PennWest. You may not be aware that we bring in 15 to 1,700 new freshmen every fall semester. We have another 500 or 600 that transfer here, and a significant number of those are online students. We've got about 4,500 totally online students. And then we've got a lot that are face-to-face and have the whole residential experience. So what is your best advice to one of those students who's about to show up to PennWest for their first day? All of you are very involved in the campus community. You've got lots of things going on. What advice would you give that student? Say, hey, you're here day one. Do the following things to make sure you get the most out of this experience. Allie, let's start with you on that question.
My biggest advice, this is something my sister told me after she was graduated from Edinboro: get out on campus, get involved. Like, don't just stay in your dorm all day or stay at home if you're a commuter. Like, get out on campus. And then my other thing is, if you have a question, somebody knows the answer, just ask it. Don't sit around in the dark, not knowing. Somebody knows the answer to the question. And even if you can't find that person, find somebody who has those connections and will know who has the answer to your question.
Excellent advice. Kurt, what would that advice be coming from you?
Well, being online, I don't have that on-campus experience, but I'll say don't hesitate. Just do it, jump into it, enjoy it. I'll say again, even though I don't have that on-campus experience, I still feel like I'm very much a part of the campus. Like if I have a question, transfer question, academic advisor question, an email away, somebody's always getting back to me, making me feel comfortable. And yeah, just jump into it, do it. Don't hesitate.
Excellent. Anthony, what's your advice to that student who would show up on campus for the first time?
Really just to come out and smile and just introduce yourself, be respectful to, all these PennWest universities, these campuses are a little bit smaller in nature. And, I think that's what makes them so special. So you come out on campus for your first day, smile, meet people, because you're going to be with those people for, the next 3-4 years, the duration of your college career. And so you are able to build a lot of these connections. You're going to walk out of that university and think, wow, I made a lot of great friendships, a lot of great, partnerships and mentorships with professors and teachers and coaches. So just smile, introduce yourself, and be open to meeting new people.
Excellent advice. Delaney, let's finish with you.
Sure. So the one piece of advice I would give to people that want to transfer is to not wear being a transfer student as your label. I know it's intimidating to come to a new place, be seen as the new kid, feel like the new kid, be intimidated by new experiences, but everyone here is so incredibly welcoming and they really accept that part of you. And if anything, it just builds your narrative. It doesn't have to be a setback. It really makes it worthy in the long run. Another piece of advice I would give is to just say yes. Say yes to all the new possibilities. I think it's very easy nowadays just to go and be alone, be secluded, just get through school. But going to Penn West is so much more than just getting a degree. It's gaining experiences with people, clubs, organizations, internships, all of that. So say yes to those little coffee dates. Say yes to going to a club meeting. Say yes to going to the sporting event. All of that will just build your college experience even more.
Excellent. Well, this has been so fun to talk to each of you about your transfer experiences. They seem to overall be very positive, and really appreciate you taking time to share those with our campus community. So Kurt, Delaney, Allie, and Anthony, thank you so much for your time today, and thanks for joining the Power of PennWest podcast. And I look forward to seeing each of you as I walk across the campuses. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having me.
Beth.
Thank you.